Welcome to Old School Sundays. I'm your host, Odell. Let's get into a debate. There are quarterbacks who play the game, and then there are quarterbacks who redefine it. Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham did both. One was a surgeon, dissecting defenses with precision, mechanics, and intellect. The other was a storm, pure chaos, athletic brilliance, and poetry in motion. Moon turned passing into a science. Cunningham turned it into jazz. When they shared the field in the late 80s and early 90s, the NFL was in transition, caught between the discipline of the old guard and the improvisation of a new era. Both men stood at the center of that revolution. Both could change a game in seconds, but they did it in completely different ways. Moon threw for over 49,000 yards, 291 touchdowns, and orchestrated the run and shoot offense like a maestro. Cunningham countered with 32,000 passing yards, nearly 5,000 rushing yards, and a highlight reel that felt more like a superhero film than a football career. One controlled chaos, the other was chaos. But who was truly the better quarterback? Was it the technician who redefined pocket passing, or the improviser who invented the modern dual threat? Today, we're putting the two legends on trial, not for what they represented, but for what they did between the lines. Because when Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham faced the NFL, it wasn't just football, it was philosophy, and only one style could define an era. Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham weren't just quarterbacks. They were philosophies in motion. Moon played the position like a mathematician solving a perfect equation. Cunningham played it like a painter throwing color on a canvas that couldn't be contained. When Moon dropped back, every step, every throw, every read felt calculated, a sequence of precision honed through repetition. When Cunningham dropped back, there was no formula, there was instinct, there was danger, there was electricity that couldn't be diagrammed on a whiteboard. Moon led the Houston Oilers with a system that looked like controlled fire. The run and shoot offense was chaos for everyone but him. Four receivers, no tight ends, no safety net, just decision making at the speed of thought. And Moon made it look easy. His footwork was crisp, his release lightning fast, and his deep ball, a masterpiece of trajectory and touch. In 1990 alone, he threw for 4,689 yards and 33 touchdowns, numbers that would still turn heads in today's pass heavy league. Every pass felt like a thesis on precision. Cunningham, meanwhile, made improvisation a weapon. He could turn a broken play into a miracle in a blink. Defensive linemen thought they had him. Then he was 20 yards downfield, gliding like a gazelle, the ball tucked like a secret. He wasn't reading defenses, he was reacting to them, rewriting physics with every escape. His 1990 season, over 3,400 passing yards, 942 rushing yards, and 35 total touchdowns. No one had ever seen a quarterback do that before. One man dominated the pocket, the other escaped it entirely. Moon forced defenses to think faster, Cunningham forced them to panic. Both made history their way, but the question now was which style truly aged better. Because precision endures, but chaos evolves. Warren Moon was a master craftsman. Every throw looked rehearsed, every drive felt like a lesson in geometry. He wasn't just throwing a football, he was sculpting it through the air. Moon didn't rely on flash or panic, he relied on control. He threw from the pocket with surgical precision, threading passes into windows that barely existed. In an era where defensive backs could grab, shove, and maul receivers, he still led the league in passing yards twice and finished top 5 7 different times. He read defenses like a second language, adjusting protections, manipulating safeties, and staying unbothered even as 300-pound linemen closed in. His arm was a weapon of calm destruction. Randall Cunningham, he was pure creation. Where Moon built order, Cunningham thrived in chaos. There was no playbook for what he did, he was the playbook. If a route collapsed, he invented another. If a blitz came unblocked, he turned it into a highlight. He'd scramble right, plant off one foot, and launch a 60-yard missile across his body that made fans gasp and defenders freeze. He wasn't supposed to make those throws, but that's what made him Randall. He was the NFL's first true improvisational artist, decades before Mahomes made it mainstream. Moon threw the ball exactly where it needed to be. Cunningham threw it where no one thought it could go. Moon built the game's foundation, Cunningham expanded its limits. But the beauty of their contrast is what made this debate eternal. Because while Moon's precision built trust, Cunningham's creativity built fear. And in a league where fear changes everything, who really had the greater weapon? There was a stretch in the late 80s and early 1990s When Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham weren't just stars, they were opposites orbiting the same sun. Both black quarterbacks, both gifted beyond comprehension, but operating in entirely different universes of the same league. Every Sunday, one carved defenses with discipline, the other shattered them with improvisation. It wasn't just a contrast of styles, it was a contrast of philosophies. Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham didn't just change how quarterbacks played, they changed who was allowed to play. Their impact stretched far beyond the numbers printed in record books or the yards counted on scoreboards. What they left behind was permission permission for quarterbacks to be different, creative, and unapologetically themselves. Moon was the architect who showed the league that intelligence and precision had no skin color. He wasn't a black quarterback, he was just a great one. His mastery of the passing game forced coaches and scouts to expand their imaginations. Because of Moon, the word pocket passer no longer had a color attached to it. His footwork, his command of the field, his leadership in a pass first offense. All of it opened doors for future pure throwers like McNabb, Culpepper, and even Russell Wilson. Moon's legacy is visible every Sunday in the rhythm of the modern game. Quarterbacks making reads at lightning speeds, throwing the anticipation, dissecting defenses with precision. Cunningham's impact, though, was kinetic. He made kids believe a quarterback could be an athlete, a creator, a human highlight reel. Without him, there is no Michael Vick, no Cam Newton, no Lamar Jackson, no Kyler Murray. He proved that escaping the pocket wasn't a sign of panic, it was a new form of strategy. He didn't just play football, he reimagined it. Every time Lamar spins away from a defender, every time Mahomes flings a no look pass on the run, they're echoing Randall. Moon gave the position credibility, Cunningham gave it freedom. One changed minds, the other changed the game. And that's why the question still stands when a legacy reshapes both perception and performance, which type of greatness truly lasts longer? Because in football, eras change, but influence doesn't fade, it multiplies. By the time both men hung up their cleats, the NFL world was different. Far more open, far more diverse, thanks to them, but the argument still lingers in the air like the echo of a long bomb. Who was truly the better quarterback? If you value perfection, the answer might be Warren Moon. His game was pure command. His throws were measured like heartbeats, never rushed, never reckless. He could read a coverage before the ball was even snapped. And his release was so smooth that it almost looked rehearsed by nature itself. He made offense look like an orchestra. Every motion calculated, every play part of a bigger picture. If consistency is the truest measure of greatness, Moon's case is airtight. But if you value innovation, if you believe football is about evolution, then Randall Cunningham stands alone. His brilliance couldn't be diagrammed or predicted. He was the prototype for what every modern quarterback became: fast, fearless, uncontainable. Cunningham didn't just beat defenses, he rewrote their rules. He showed that creativity could win in a sport built on structure. For him, highlight reels weren't entertainment, they were manifesto. Moon played the game the way the coaches taught it, Cunningham played it the way the kids dreamed it. One was order, the other was imagination. And maybe that's why the verdict still splits fans to this day. Because sometimes greatness can't be measured in rings or yards, only in how it changed the language of football itself. So, who wins this debate? The man who perfected the old or the man who created the new? Two quarterbacks, two different kinds of greatness. Warren Moon played the position with precision of a surgeon and the patience of a professor. Randall Cunningham played it like a rebel artist, fearless, unpredictable, and free. Both stood in the same league, under the same spotlight, and each redefined what the light could look like. Moon built the standard for excellence, Cunningham built the expectation for evolution. One proved that a quarterback could dominate from the pocket, the other proved that the pocket was optional. When you watch today's game, Mahomes, Lamar, Hurts, Allen, you're really watching both men at once. Moon's discipline, Cunningham's daring. The accuracy of a scientist fused with the imagination of an artist. Every throw, every scramble, every impossible play on Sunday afternoon carries the DNA of these two men. So, who is the better quarterback? The technician or the magician? The man who made the impossible look routine or the one who made routine plays look impossible? Maybe that's the beauty of this argument. You can't crown one without honoring the other, because together, they changed the definition of the position. Warren Moon taught football how to think, Randall Cunningham taught it how to dream. In between those two lessons, the modern quarterback was born. So I'll ask you, when precision met chaos, who truly conquered the game? Drop your answers below. The debate starts now.